Social media users on X are rallying behind the hashtag Akpabio must go, calling for the resignation of the Senate President Godswill Akpabio due to his controversial comments on the upcoming End Bad Governance protest. The protests aimed at addressing hardship under the President Bola Tinubu's administration faced opposition from Akpabio, who stated a demonstration would not occur in Niger Delta State. During a meeting in Port Harcourt, Akpabio and NDDC Managing Director Dr. Samuel Ogbuku urged Niger Deltans to avoid protests that could destabilize the country. In his speech, Akpabio said, "ND, I want to thank you for what you said. You said we are not interested in regime change. Let us own this government. Those who want to protest can protest, but let us be there eating. Am I right?" That was the question. Many criticize this lack of empathy and insensitive attitude towards the hardship faced by Nigerians, saying this response only serves a further highlight to government disconnects from the people. An ex-user, Ife Salako, said Akpabio is worse than Tinubu, the most ridiculous, followed by to have led our National Assembly. This is a disgrace to our democracy, and as a nation, we must all agree at this point that Akpabio must go. That's an hashtag. And then Hoswa Amobora wrote, "Chief Senator Godswill Akpabio, we are giving you 10 days to resign. We are tired. Nigerian Senate chamber is not a motor park. It was never won. It can never be won. Enough is enough. Hashtag Akpabio must go." And then Lokman Okoyemi wrote, "We can't have a drunkard as a FCT minister and still have another drunkard as Senate president just because they helped us rig election. It just doesn't feel right." Fearless wrote, "Godswill Akpabio is the worst Senate president Nigeria has ever seen. Imagine saying this nonsense after putting our country in all this hardship. We cannot suffer under unsympathetic tyrants like this. Enough is enough." Let me just take the last one. And then L Excellent wrote, "This man resignation is our #1 request on the hashtag protest list. You have mocked us enough. Starting from sending prayers to their inbox and making mockery of allowing the poor to breathe. Now we will be eating while others are protesting." All right, this is netizens pouring their anger, pouring their grievances on the Senate president. If you could recall that yesterday there was a meeting in Port Harcourt and NDDC, and then the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said something that while we are eating, they can protest while we are eating. And according to what we read here, that was a question. That was something said by NDDC Managing Director. And he only rephrased what he said and asked the question, "Am I right?" And someone came out to defend that Akpabio did not actually say that people should protest, Nigerians should protest while we eat. But the case is different. What do you think about netizens' reaction?
Well, I'm sure it might not really be, if this is the first time that citizens are sensing that he's not respecting them, they might not emphasize it this much. You know, there has been this hue and cry around the language of the highly respected Nigerian senator. There was a time he came out. I have always said that language is a skill, and a public language, right, is not the same as private language. And for anybody to be a public officer, I have insisted, must undergo trainings. Within the period you have to be sworn in, you have to be taught, the relevant professional bodies, right, should teach them how to talk, communicate to the citizens. So far, I don't think he has communicated well. Like, he has not shown to be a good communicating leader. For example, there was an issue that happened between him and the senator, his colleagues. There's what we call in administration good neighbor. Your colleague is your good neighbor. Not that the other person is not your neighbor, but there's a protection you need to give to this person, this your colleague. That's what we call good neighbor. before the other person. Like if you have vendors here, if you have external contractors that come in here, the more important person to you is your colleague. If there are issues, you settle it in the house. The other person shouldn't know. Even if you are quarreling with your colleagues, the external colleague shouldn't know. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. We call it good neighbor relationship. And if you had any issue with his senator colleague, he shouldn't have been brought open. We noticed that about him.
Okay.
Right?
Like he's
like managing his own subordinate, his own people or colleague, if we must say that.
Okay.
And then if this one too is also attributed to him, it's also another point to say that he really requires training. Nobody's above training.
But don't you think the netizens are reacting based on what you are counting on, based on the past? Because like this one now, it's more like he didn't say it, but because of the anger in them, they are just joining everything together.
And that's what I'm saying, that this one too, you don't address angry people like that. Like if somebody says I'm hungry, it's okay, you go and continue to shout that you're hungry, we'll stay here and eat. As if you have given us food and then we refuse to eat. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If that is actually coming from him, he should resign on his own. You get what I'm saying? Because his position requires honor. His position requires that he respects people. I don't know if I get what I'm saying. His position is that of a mentor. Okay. Like, call it legislature executive. It's the man that the people should report to, cry to. This is where we are, sir. You get what I'm saying? But at this point that he's showing to be aloof from the people, he should. I align with the protesters that Mr. Akpabio should please, in his own honor, resign. Because I just wish he can hear me. Can this step get to him?
He can hear you.
Like what I mean is that if it is true that he told the people that if that he should go and protest, that he will stay here and eat with his friends, right? And the way he talks, in the courage around him, requires that somebody should give him a touch of finesse. You know, there should be a touch, there should be a push up in his image and ranking. Do you understand? I just wish he can hear me anywhere he is.
He can hear you,
right?
Of course.
He can't be a Nigerian senator and then insult Nigerians. Like probably his intention might not be to insult, but he was not potent to be insulting.
Okay,
to the citizens.
Again, what if, according to what we have read here, what if this word was not directly from him, but rather from the NDDC managing director, like he was trying to quote what he said? What if it wasn't from Akpabio as per se that Nigerians should protest while they eat?
Then the blame goes to the initial media that carried this.
You know that let Nigerians breathe.
You should verify before you talk about it.
You know that when Nigerians breathe, it wasn't Akpabio that said it. Okay. It was our able president. Okay. But when he actually recapped that word, it was a problem. People were like that. He's mocking us.
What we mean is, what I mean by communication being a vital aspect of leadership is that we have a language for the people.
Okay.
We have what we call body language. You can say something that is right. The way you convey it will be ridiculous to the other person. Saying a thing and saying it in the right way is another thing.
Okay.
Right? Okay, let us take it now that Mr. President said it. Probably nobody heard him for it. Maybe the mood or the way he said it. Okay. But this other person can say, there's a way I can tell you, good morning. That's good morning, right? Good morning, no. Is this the same thing? No. Okay. Are you get what I'm saying? So these are the things these people are supposed to have learned.
Oh, okay.
Are you get what I'm saying? Especially having to do with the public. So if the other day he was openly talking about a particular senator, and you still go back and see these are people you see every day.
Yeah.
I get what I'm saying. There is something wrong somewhere, and I'm supporting this hashtag.
Oh, you support?
Yes. If he can't fix himself right now, if he can't use this within this period to apologize to the people that he's fine, he's a better senator right now, and if he can't find himself doing better, let him resign.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Weke said. Okay, in your word. I don't want to say in your word because it was in another person's word that Akpabio said, and it's not a problem. So you've heard what he said. All right, so let's look at the next story for today.